We're back on Pandora.
Avatar 2.
We're on
13 years
Pandora.
later, we have it.
Check out the trailer. out.
13 years?
13 years.
Yeah,
14
2009.
14, canonically 14 in the film.
It's been 14 in the film.
His kids are 14, Braden. His
Okay.
oldest son would be 14.
The oldest son. Okay. Sure.
We don't
So
know
the
how
whole
the
gang's
Na'vi
back.
aged. We don't know how the Na'vi aged.
Everyone
are we
died.
Is this spoilers? Are we doing spoilers?
No, that's in the trailer.
No, but I'm
Everyone's
saying,
back.
are we gonna do spoilers?
No, I don't think. Oh, no, we're not going to do spoilers. It's too early. So
Should we-
many people are going to see this movie.
Can we not
Yeah.
do like some spoilers?
Soft spoilers.
What if I do this? Here we go. Hang on. You keep talking. Keep talking about your shit.
Okay.
Brayden, what was your thoughts? You said you had a lot, so I'm interested to hear what you think.
So I have a lot.
Do you have a notepad with them all written down too?
Yes, it's called my forearm as I scratched it in as we were watching the movie. So we all went and saw it because it released in Australia last night for us. That is one of the reasons why we're recording this episode late. It's because, hey, Avatar is one of the biggest films that's going to come out. We should review it. And we should do it fairly quickly. Tell you what, this film is visually stunning and beautiful, and that's not a shock to anyone.
The best film I've ever seen. Like, seen.
It's
Looked at.
amazing.
Visually, the best looking film I've ever seen.
It's
Brayden,
disgustingly good.
You saw it in 3D too, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
And HFR?
as I found out, I think 20 minutes before the film started,
It was HFR.
there's 4 different ways to watch this film.
Yeah, so when I booked tickets the day the release, like this, you were
Yeah.
able to book tickets. They only had 3D or not 3D, and
Yeah.
as I found out 2 days before going to see the movie, there's also 48 frames HFR sessions
Yeah.
of the film. So you can either go see the film in 2D, 48 frames, 2D, 24 frames, 3D, 48 frames, or 3D 24 frames. Now, ideally, I think if I go see the movie again, I'm looking at 3D 24 frames.
I would 1000% agree with that.
Look, not that I got very used to 48 frames. It took me a second to adjust. You do.
See, I didn't know any of this until after the movie.
Here's the thing. For some people, they might just think something's off, but they'll blame it on the 3D, like maybe hurting their eyes.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is one thing that if we didn't know going in,
Tom
Michaela
Cruise would hate
wouldn't
this
have
movie,
noticed
by the
at
way.
all.
Tom Cruise would hate this movie, by the way.
Oh my God, so much.
He would hate video interpolation, which
Oh
this
my God.
movie is made to look like when you've got True Motion on your TVs. True Motion basically adds frames because you got your films that are shot at 24 frames a second. In order to make video and like sports look smoother, most TVs come with a True Motion or a
Doesn't it just, like,
Auto Motion Plus
blurring?
setting,
Yeah.
which basically it kind of fills in the gap between the frames, so everything looks a bit smoother. Now, obviously, when you've got normal films which are filmed in 24 frames, and then you've got 48 frames, you know, it can, even though it's properly done, it can still
Seemed jarring.
everything can have this kind of smooth like effect on it because this is 30. We're 30 frames at the moment.
So my main thing with I saw it in high frame rate, and my main thing with it is I wish the whole film was in 48 because it made the shots which they would cut to really randomly in the middle of an action scene that were 24 frames look like poo. It looked like
There
it was
one
buffering.
shot in the film that wasn't even 3D at all.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Like there
But,
was a
like-
shot with like some people almost drowning, and it cut to just what I don't know. I didn't get the glasses off in time, but it was like when everything else was in 3D, this one
Yeah.
shot was definitely not in 3D.
You could tell.
Yeah.
Another shout out for a weird effect choice was the shot where they're actually physically handling some leaves, and it was physical and it was real, and it took me out of it so much because everything else in this movie is CG, Then all of a sudden, it was real practical leaves. They were anyway. It was
Oh,
weird.
I noticed no effects, by the way. Like, no jarring effects at all.
No.
Not a
So
single
the
one.
frame rate, did fuck
Fantastic
me up
job
a
with all
bit.
the visuals and CGI and everything.
Yeah, the frame rate fucked me up a bit, and that sort of threw me. I noticed it, and when like the only times I really disliked it was when it was in the middle of an action scene. 90% of the shots that they're cutting to are these incredible, smooth, beautiful 48 frames per second shots that just look stunning. And then all of a sudden it would cut to like someone reacting to something that's happened on the battlefield, and they would be in 24 frames per second in that shot. And all of a sudden it would just be like, oh, it threw me. I'm someone who notices that. Michaela didn't really notice it at all. She said she thought maybe like once or twice it did it, and I was like, I was doing it a lot. But like that's not a deal breaker. Like I would just recommend people go see it in 3D 24 frames.
Yeah. I thought the film looked absolutely gorgeous. I think. Yeah, sorry, I'm in the middle of typing something. Was it called The Way of Water? Just Way of Water.
The way of water. They only say it 4 times in the film.
Did you count?
No, I think they only say it 2.
They do. You're right, because I counted.
Of course you did.
No, so look, I think beautiful looking film. I personally think the story for what it was did its job. I think, I was never bored by the film. I honestly think on a rewatch, I also very much felt like the movie was kind of Avatar 1 again.
Yes, okay. I was thinking about it. The story, when you think about it, is very similar to the course of actions in number
I love
1,
Avatar 1, and I love the water people, and I loved my camera going black, and I loved
the water people, and like everything was wicked.
The water effects were incredible.
I'm really high on the visuals. Like
the underwater scenes, amazing. Like
Braden's
visually,
staying real quiet.
Do you not enjoy the underwater scenes?
No. So this film where the plot and where the direction of this film went as a sequel, and like the sheer I went into this film with 0 expectations. I was like, okay, I know it's gonna be visually beautiful. I have no idea what the plot is gonna be, and like where they're going with this, especially with this, they're doing 3 more movies after this. Like I went in with very little expectations. I was like, okay, I'm open to whatever. The one thing I was concerned about going in was I think it's weird that Sigourney Weaver is playing a child. And then
I didn't think
that character proceeded to be my most interesting character.
Yeah, she was great.
And that's what I wish the whole movie was about. And anyway, so that's beside the point, because that was again, that was my main concern. And then out of the end of the movie, I was like, that was the one part I really loved. Or at least found super interesting. I think, the direction of it was very strange. I described it straight after the film to Michaela. I turned and said, I feel like I just watched James Cameron's Wet Dream.
Well, yeah, literally.
Because he and I know there's a whole writing team and it's not just James Cameron making the movie, but I feel like James Cameron was hovering over the writer's shoulders being like, we're gonna push the whole franchise into the water, aren't we? Yes, it's gonna be in water now. And he's we've gone from this one of the most interesting parts of Avatar in the first one is when you get these glimpses of oh my god, there's so many other tribes and stuff that are living in different areas, basically different biomes. And it's like, oh cool, that's really interesting, that's fascinating. And then it's like, cool, we're gonna go visit the water one for this one. And that's going to be the focus. Get it. James Cameron loves water.
I think we're going to go to the other ones, by the way. I don't think we're just hanging out in the water.
I'm so worried because, when he ends that, not to spoil, he says the line in the trailer, but, he refers to it as a fortress.
Yeah.
And he quite seriously says that this is our fortress. I honest to God am worried that James Cameron is just no.
No, he's
We're in
talking
the
about
water now.
the family's the fortress.
Oh, I fucking hope so. Because Christ, if we get another movie in the water, I don't know if I can do it.
Is that
Like,
good, Braden?
really?
If that
He
if that
just
comes,
wanted to make Titanic again.
well,
There's shots in that movie that feel like
well,
they're shot
yeah.
for shot.
Well, I mean, at the
Titanic.
end when the boat's sinking, that's very much Titanic.
Yeah, that was a bit much for me.
There we go, Braden. Do you
bit
like
much
that?
for
Keep that on the screen. We're talking
Yeah,
about.
I like that.
Well,
Yeah,
before
skip
before
ahead.
we jump into the full spoilers, shall we quickly knock off a rating because we don't know Braden's rating because he didn't rate it.
4 out of 5. I have it on par with the first one. I thought the story was fine. I love seeing Stephen Lang back. I had a lot of fun with him. I really enjoy this franchise. I enjoy the family aspect. I thought the characters in this one were really good. I thought that was one thing better in this one than in the first one. I thought the characters were a lot better. I cared a lot more about the kids than I thought I would going into it. Yeah, I found myself connected with the characters in this one more than the first one. And yeah, I do think maybe a tad too long. Upon a rewatch, I think there's a big middle section of this film where we kind of spend training again. Because in the first film, it's Jake training with the Na'vi to learn their ways. When in this one, it's him and his family training with the water Na'vi to learn their ways. So
like, not to say it like in a demeaning way, it felt like a shot for shot of the first film's scene, only they were doing it double or no triple, because you had Jake, his son, and then the other training stuff that was going on as well, which I won't spoil in this bit. Like, it was just all three happening at the same time, but it was all the exact same as the first film, and I was just
I don't think it was
so
I don't think it was the
weird.
exact same. I don't think
No.
I 100% agree with that.
Okay.
Look,
So I
think,
like the water creatures. I like the world.
I think as a sequel, it did its job in my opinion. I enjoyed because in the first one, I thought that the final battle was extremely large in scale. Whereas this one is much more smaller scaled. We got to spend more time with
A
the
lot
characters, more personal, and we spend more time with the character. We're able to spend more time with like most of the characters during this battle, and it's had much more impact than the end battle. The first one, I do think the last 45 minutes of this film is absolutely phenomenal. I think
there's no denying like the large action set pieces of this film.
Just like the
not
last
only
act, I thought
will they
great.
melt your eyeballs out of your brain, like they're really good.
Scores.
I'm at a 4.5. I'm probably just still in awe of the visuals. I think that was the thing I'm like highest on. Like that literally blew me away. I was sitting there with my jaw pretty much propped open. I think all the family stuff being more personal, it has a lot more feels to it. Like obviously you still had like the sad bits in number one, but I feel like obviously this is a bit more personal because like obviously it's affecting Jake. So obviously it's more focused. But I'm very high on it.
Braden, out of 5?
Out of 5, I think at the moment, and again, this is coming off me not entirely enjoying the experience of the high frame rate. I feel like seeing it standard, which I will be seeing it again because my pa and my entire family want to go see it. So of course I will be seeing it again, which is a good opportunity for me to see it in not high frame rate, which definitely brought me down at least half a star, I would say. Just guessing. We'll see. I'm sitting at like a 3. Okay. I'm sitting at a 3. I
thought it was going to be lower, to be fair.
No. Well, there was a moment when we were driving home, I was considering a 2.5, and then I was like,
"It's too good to be a 2.5." To me, it's worth the wait. Everything he said about it, it's what he delivered.